Levi, how are you, dude?
I'm good. I want to hear about you though. I mean, Paris-Roubaix, let's start.
Dude,
Yeah, go for it. I'll ask
man,
questions, but I want you to start.
it was uh it was a dream come true, dude. It was the most beautiful day you could ask for to have a Roubaix. The weather was unreal. There was like no mud on any of the sectors. It was perfectly dry. It was like 70 degrees, 65 degrees. It was uh it was perfect. So the stars had aligned in that regard, and then yeah, I don't know. I was starting to get nervous even the day before. Like going to bed, my
Dude,
stomach
you
was
were
kind
you
of
were nervous for weeks.
but it like really started to hit me like the night before. Like my stomach was doing
Uh,
backflips and I didn't have a great night's sleep. I was just tossing and turning. Just I couldn't wait to get up, you know. It was like a kid on Christmas. Um
yeah, yeah.
but you told me to just like run with my emotions and just to feel it all, and that's exactly what I did. Like I just embraced the fact that this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to do your first Roubaix. And I'm so young and I have like hopefully so many more to come that this is like, I'm losing my Roubaix virginity for the first time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so I was
Nice.
pretty excited, and we were kind of staying far away from the start, like 2 hour drive in the bus. And like a monument of that length starts relatively early, like 10:30, 10:50 something was the neutral start. So we were up at like 6:30 in the morning on race day, which is early. So I think I had only gotten like 6.5 hours of sleep. So I was like kind of like, oh fuck, I didn't have the best night's sleep. I I've been dealing like the last 2 weeks. I had gotten sick in between my last Belgian block essentially, and then Roubaix. I had like a cold that like everybody got. Like everybody that I talked to was sick with like more or less the same thing. And it was just lingering. Like I had a bit of a cough for a week. I had some sinus pressure and like congestion that wouldn't really come out. So I was like worried that it was turning into a sinus infection. And I woke up that morning and it was probably the nerves just playing with it. Like I felt like I had such bad sinus pressure and I was just like nervous. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna be on a bad day. I'm ruined. And I did a rookie mistake, man. I checked my aura score and I had like a 65 recovery, and I was like, "No, it's over." Blah blah blah, and I started already like making excuses, and then I got on the bus, and the vibes were so good. Like we didn't have any like porridge or oatmeal or rice like prepared, so each of us ate like a box of Frosted Flakes. So it just felt real like junior, which I think was almost like the best thing for me. Like I was just ready for it. I was so excited. I was like, I'm gonna eat so many carbs. I'm gonna be flying. And yeah, I did the team presentation or the sign on. We did the presentation the day before. Um, did the sign on in the morning and had the music bumping real loud on the bus. Did my bicarb. Was just hanging out. It was a real loose environment. My parents were there, so said hi to them and everything. And then yeah, lined up in Compiègne on the front in the bumper on the bumper of the car, and was next to my buddy Colby, who I raced as a junior with on the same team, and we were just chatting to each other like this is pretty cool that we're at the front here in Roubaix. Fuck, then it started, dude. It was like it was unreal. It was so fast. It was 2 hours of full gas fighting for the break, like all of us just jumping in every move. And we did like 53 Ks an hour average to the first cobble sector, and not a single breakaway went, man. We were represented in everything, and there were a few times when I thought that maybe I was going to get away cuz I had a small gap and it looked like guys were sitting up, but everybody wanted to be in that move that nothing ever went. And, at one point,
Yeah.
there was
It
even
was
a,
it,
go ahead.
it was clear it was clear from television there was no room for the break. I mean, 48.9 K an hour average for the race. The break was not going to get off the front of that.
No, no, it was the fastest edition ever, and you could even feel it in the first 2 hours, like, when we got to that first sector, I looked down at what time we were at, and I was like, Oh my god, we are flying right now. Like, we got to the first sector in under or yeah, in like 2 hours and maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and that's 100 Ks into the bike race. Like,
Yeah.
it's unreal. Yeah, I think we got there actually in under 2 hours. Um,
Yeah.
but no, it was crazy, but so for me, it was difficult because that was like my kind of my whole goal to get into the breakaway. And so when I realized like 20K before the sector, or I guess it was almost 30Ks before the sector, the road got blocked up and all the teams started doing their lead outs for the sector. I was like, yeah, a brake's not going, and now I need to figure out how the hell I'm gonna race this bike race from this bunch. Um,
Yeah.
and dude, the fight for position is nearly impossible. Like if you're not with your team at the front, it is impossible to move up anywhere relevant in the peloton. Like all you're really trying to do is not be last wheel into the sector. Like you want to be like 3 rows from the back if you can, because it's just trains in front of you, and you can be an asshole and start messing up other teams' trains, but like I don't know, I'm a neo pro and I'm not trying to cause any problems. Like I don't.
Yeah.
There's a crash that always happens in the last left hand corner before the first sector, and it always like kind of swarms out into the right. And the same thing happened this year going into that sector. You turn left, and there was a big crash on the right. Um, so I knew that I just wanted to go into that corner, like kind of dive bomb that corner onto the left and make up a couple positions. So that's what I did, and I think I went into the first sector like if there was 180 guys, I went in there 140th, you know? But at least you're not those last 40 guys. Cause like shit can always happen back there. You're still you're still in it, sort of. And it was fine. Like there was so much draft in the first sector or two that you just get sucked along. So it wasn't really difficult. And in fact, it was really nice to have George in the earpiece because he's done it so many times. He knows exactly how the race is. And he said, like, in that moment, he's like, use this moment, guys. I know it may feel easy or it may feel hard, but move up in the sector because every spot matters coming out of the sector. And he was totally right because I found that through the day, the actual like hardest parts of the bike race were in between the sectors because you come out and it's stretched out and that elastic is
Mhm.
going to snap at some point. So if you can make up 10 positions in a sector or 20 positions in a sector, it makes the biggest difference. So that was one of my biggest takeaways was that that's kind of how I made it through the first quarter of the cobble sector part of the race in good position. Like I just kept moving up through the sectors, and I found myself in group two after maybe the first 4 sectors, and it basically the peloton got kind of split in half. But there were some hitters in my group, like favorites. I can't remember if it was Pogacar that was in my group or if it was Wout and Mads. It was one of those two, but on the first couple of the sectors, man, it was crazy. Like these guys were all having problems. I see Wout flat, I see Mads flat, and then like a minute later, they're just flying by you on the sectors at like Mach speed, and you're like, dude's taking the slimiest line on the left, like moving up like crazy, and these guys are just incredible, man. Like the risks that they can take on these sectors, but it's like coupled with their amazing bike handling skills, they're riding on places where you're like, there's no way you can ride that line, and they're doing it. So that was pretty cool. And then yeah, my race from an actual super competitive group ended when Pogačar, uh, I think he flatted on the sector and he got the neutral bike, the
Mhm.
commissary car behind him and then a team car or something stopped on the sector and it was really narrow, so you couldn't get around. So we all got bunched up behind this car while he's getting his neutral bike. And guys are like running with their bikes on the grass around the trench and stuff. And yeah, I got pretty held up in that and basically was like stopped for 30, 40 seconds maybe. And yeah, 20 guys trickle through and form another group, and then my subsequent guys formed our group, and that was the group that we were in to the finish. We were in a group of maybe 25, 30 guys that slowly whittled down through the day, but from then on, it was just, to be honest, it wasn't crazy difficult. It was honestly the perfect effort for me. It was similar to being in a breakaway, like, it was just a diesel
Yeah.
gear all day, like, fast and, like, grippy, but none of those hard, super sharp efforts. So,
You're just trying
I
to lose as little time as possible.
yeah, so we were just turning
Yeah.
all day, and, to be honest, that was almost like the best way to enjoy Roubaix because you could switch off from being nervous and crashing and having issues for the most part and just really soak it all in and enjoy the fans and everything because you're not that far behind the bike race. And so it was
Uh-huh.
honestly, it was electric. Like I'm grinning ear to ear just thinking about how cool being in that moment makes you feel. Like you feel like a freaking gladiator.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so
Yeah.
cool. And then
I don't,
yeah,
I don't think people realize that the most dangerous part of Roubaix is before the sectors. It's not once you're on the sector, you're kind of in your place, right? Like you just have to pay attention somewhat, but there's not a lot of dynamic back and forth on the sectors. It's beforehand. That's so nerve-wracking.
yeah, yeah, in those first 2 hours, I'm pretty good at navigating a break formation, like staying in that upper washing machine effect and being able to move up with the waves. But once that blockade starts and everybody's racing for the sector, excuse me, and they're moving along, it's, um it's like a lot of just full gas grabbing brake and locking up and sliding and, like, trying not to lose position,
Yeah.
then, like, getting back into a decent position, and that was honestly the scariest part of the bike race. And then once
Yeah.
you get on the sectors and things kinda settle down, you're just along for the ride pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I never did Roubaix, but that's exactly what it's like in the Tour de France when they throw in like 8, 9 sections of cobbles. It's the same thing. It's just full panic before the sectors. Like you said, like double wheel lockup, like nearly crashing, then 100% sprint and double wheel lockup like over and over again. And it's so nerve-wracking. It just sucks it out of you.
Yeah, definitely. And then along with fighting for the breakaway full gas, like, those first 2 hours are really hard, and you're on a setup that's tailored for the cobbles and for comfortable comfortability on the cobblestones, so the road sections, you feel like you have a double flat or you're just going through mud. It's like a horrible sensation to
Yeah.
have to do all these micro accelerations. So, by the time I got to those first sectors, my head is like scrambled eggs, dude. I'm so on the limit. And then
Yeah.
you go through so many different emotions and feelings throughout the day. Like the first 2 hours, I'm on my hands and knees, and then, I kind of come around in the middle part and I feel really good and I'm like really enjoying myself. And then all of a sudden you get through Mons and Pavel or Champagne and Pavel, and yeah, you realize that you're so close to the finish, but then you have Arenberg, and you're just like, no, please don't let Arenberg be the end of me, because you could flat there and then be out of your group, and it's just a slogfest to the finish. You don't know what can happen in Arenberg. All you know is gonna hurt, and it's gonna be difficult, and you just want to make it through in one piece. But bro,
Were you able to go through Arenberg in time to see Vanderpool walking backward?
no, that was the um no, no, no. But maybe actually now thinking about it, maybe he was like up there because the cars were just stopped on our sector, and we were going so slow that you're like, man, you're going 20, not even 20 k's an hour because the cars in front of you are stopped or they're moving really slow. So it makes the bumps exponentially harder, right? So you have no rhythm, you're just like slogging away in a horrible gear, and then you have to stop and
Yeah.
unclip and get around a car, and it was horrible. So Arenberg took me like 2 minutes more than it did in the recon. So You're
Yeah, I
kind of
mean, the
at
faster you can ride those sections, the easier they are, right?
Oh, 100%, 100%. Like,
Uh-huh.
speed is everything. That's, like, what makes it smooth and what makes you be able to get around the thing, because the minute you lose momentum, you're going backwards, and it's incredibly hard to regain momentum, you know? Everything is trying to slow you down. Um,
Isn't it crazy that it took this long for the Peloton to adopt large tires? Like I saw Tade was on a 38 millimeter front tire, which
yeah,
makes total sense. Like,
yeah,
I mean, dude, I raced on 23s when I got into the Tour de France. Like, how stupid is that?
yeah, 23s with, like,
Like,
120 PSI.
exactly. Like, and if you started to lose grip in a corner, there was no saving that. You were just down before you knew it.
Yeah, yeah. No, it is
So it's
crazy,
it's
but
just crazy it's taken that long
totally,
for this old school mentality of like to let go and go with bigger tires because that's what's making the speed go up is like this volume on the cobbles.
for sure. I don't think your guys' bikes could have fit that large of tires, especially with rim brake. That doesn't make sense.
Absolutely not. For sure. That was
Yeah,
definitely part of the problem. But if they had realized like what a difference it would make, it would have precipitated that change sooner.
yeah. I think my finish time in Roubaix this year, of course it's different because the first 2 hours were so rapid, but my finish time would have won so many previous
Every
editions.
every
Yeah.
Roubaix.
Yeah, I think almost every Roubaix, which is kind of crazy to think. Like, obviously, that's not because of my ability, but it's just how
Yeah.
fast the bunch around you is moving and how it sucks you along, and our equipment now, how fast we can go over the cobblestones. Like, it's crazy how
Was there
fast this
a
sport.
Was there a tailwind this year? Because as we know, you're heading basically straight north the whole day,
Yeah,
so you're in
yeah,
one direction.
there was a
Yeah.
tailwind, but it wasn't like blowing super hard. But actually, in break formation, more than halfway through break formation, the peloton split. But Pogacar was in my half of the split. Vanderpool was, and I think maybe only Wout had made the front split or something, or maybe not even. But anyways, they chased that down and it came back together. But just like when a little bit of crosswind came, it was just everybody
Uh,
smack into the gutter in a line, and it's a testament to how hard break formation was, because everybody must have been suffering, because you don't the guys that line up at Roubaix, nobody's that bad to drop the wheel on a road section, you know. It was hard. So those
right.
first 2 hours are incredibly hard, and it makes a big difference if you can just sit back and relax and have a team help you come back from peeing and all that stuff. Like the big favorites do, because man, 2 hours of being able to go as easy as possible versus guys like basically the rest of the entire field fighting up for the breakaway, that makes a big difference, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's as a leader like those top guys, I mean, they're not having it easy, but they do have the insurance policy of, guys dedicated to making sure that if something happens, they're not the ones closing the gap. They've got a team to do it for them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah.
for my particular race, like for me myself, I didn't have a single moment to go pee. I had one moment that was sort of a relaxed point, like when I realized that the brake wasn't gonna go and I sat up at the back for a little bit and took my breath. I was able to take off my arm warmers and get them in my pocket. That was the only time I had to relax. Otherwise, it was full locked up or sprinting or anything. And then yeah, once you get into the sectors and everything, you kind of just want to be focused on riding and doing your own
So
effort.
so like thinking about that, were you able to take in enough calories because it starts to get so hard to reach into your pocket to eat?
I did only gels or high carb mix basically the whole day. So I was either having a 45-gram carb gel or a 90 grams of carbs bottle or a 45 grams of carb bottle. So I was doing at least 135 grams an hour, because I would always get two gels in an hour and then whatever I could drink. Uh, and there was a good tip that we had given to us before the race started, that if you just take like one big swish of your bottle, your bottle won't hijack out of your bike in the cobble sectors because everybody loses bottles in these sectors, because if you get a fresh full bottle and it's in your thing, for some reason, that amount of weight or whatever, it just bounces out of your cage. So every time I got a bottle, I would just swig it and keep it in. So I always had bottles on me the whole day because I never lost a bottle. So I was always getting enough fluids in, whether it was 90 grams of carbs in a bottle or 45, and then always 2 gels an hour. But I will say, after the race, or maybe even the last hour of the race, stomach was in shambles, my guy. It was so bad. And for the next 24 hours, I needed to be near a bathroom.
Well, part of that was your nerves going into it, I think.
Well, no, no, we had that before the race, but then after the
Well, I'm
race,
saying that didn't help for sure.
no, no, that didn't help for sure.
Yeah,
But once the race kind of gets going, the nerves go away. But yeah, when you
yeah,
go that high carb and you don't have any solid food at all for the whole 6 hours basically on the bike, and you're doing so many grams of carbs an hour, like 135 to what is that, 170 an hour between those two, like it gets to a point, where the
yeah.
stomach says no. But, yeah, it was incredible. My parents were roadside at 3 or 4 sectors and some good ones too, like Orchies, Briostre. Uh, they were at, like, 3 or 4 sectors in the first half of the bike race, and then they made it to the velodrome. And, yeah, you go through different phases of emotions. You make it through Arenberg, and you're like, "Oh my god, dude, I have 100K left of this bike race. What the hell?" Or maybe even more than 100K. And,
Yeah.
yeah, I made it through that point, and then you start to feel better again, and then you start enjoying it, and then Comfort Labra comes by, and you're on your hands and knees again, and then you get through that, and then you realize that you know, you can finish this bike race. So then you start getting happy again and feeling good again, and then, man, the stretch down to the velodrome, it was like everything was sinking in that I was about to finish my first Roubaix, and I started to get a little bit teary-eyed, and then I made it into the velodrome, and my parents were right there, and I heard them screaming as I came into the velodrome, and, it was waterworks. I was crying like a little baby, and it was so awesome, that feeling of just, of
Yeah.
realizing a career-long dream, or one of the biggest dreams I've had for a while, to be able to realize that
Yeah.
and be in that moment and fully embrace it and soak it in. That was really special.
Life changing.
Yeah, yeah, because I just fell in love with the bike race, and it's something that I'll want to do probably every year for the rest of my career.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can relate. That's how I felt the first time on the Champs.
Yeah, oh, that
Yeah, oh,
sounds
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
How old are you?
No, uh, phew, 20 let me think about this, 28? I can't even
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
28-ish or so, yeah. But, same thing, like, since I was 13 years old, dreaming about the Tour de France, and, you it's kind of the same thing, like, you get to the end of the Tour de France, you're so fucking tired. You're so worked, you can't wait for it to be over with. You're in so much pain, and you swing onto the Champs-Élysées, and you just get a full adrenaline, goosebumps, emotional, and it's just all washed away. Like, all
yeah,
of that fatigue is washed away.
yeah, yeah. It's so true. And man, crossing that finish line and getting to high five my teammates who also finished in the same group as me, and see other buddies who I was teammates with last year on the finish line, and like being able to give them a hug because it's also their first time finishing Roubaix, and getting to see my parents down there and share that moment with them, and see the people that are like closest to you, all in that same moment. It's like that's a lifelong memory for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Happy for
really,
you.
really cool. Thanks. Yeah. I guess if you would have told me that I would have been here or have been at the start line of Roubaix 5 years ago, 6 years ago when I was a junior, I would have not believed you, you know?
Yeah.
So it's cool
Yeah.
for that to happen, like, it happens in baby steps too, like, it's not like it just happened, like, from one day to the next. It's kind of like this
Yeah.
slow you crescendo, like, you build, you build, you build, you build, and then before you know it, you're there, and it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's interval by interval, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't know,
How did
if there's
our
any young cyclists listening and you have these crazy dreams that people tell you, "Oh, no, you'll never make it. You can never do that," you know? I beg you to question them, because
Yeah,
it is.
exactly.
You can. You can do it.
You can do it. There's no question.
Yeah.
How did our friend Luke do? Did you get a chance to talk to him at all or see what happened with him in the race?
Yeah, I saw him actually quite a bit. I think he slipped when we got caught, or when we got caught behind Pogačar when he was changing his bike on that one sector. He was part of that group that slipped away around the car earlier than me, and he ended up in that group ahead of us. Um, so I don't know how his day went. I heard the EF boys had some troubles with flatting and stuff. I think everybody had mechanicals and whatnot, so I'm sure that hampered his ability to be further up on the results sheet. But he finished perfectly within time cut, you know, ahead of me in another group. So yeah, he did well. I think he was also we were fighting for the breakaway together. He was jumping, I was jumping. Sometimes we jumped together a little bit. Um, so yeah, I think he did a good race. And then obviously they probably did a lead out into the first sector. So
Well, that's awesome. I mean, it's great to hear you talk about it. You just like there's so much energy, like I can see that this is going to change you as far as like what you believe, how you believe in yourself, and
yeah,
it's a catalyst, right? It's
for
it
sure.
just gives you so much more fuel.
For sure, because, like, when you look back at the race and how it unfolded, I still have yet to watch the entire race back, minute by minute, but I watched the extended highlights, and you kinda get a gist of things, and you see the key pivotal moments, and you see that if you're you know, if I was 30 spots up in that one sector when Pogačar had his issue and we got caught behind the car, uh, I could have slipped through and been in group 3 on the road with Pogačar, and then his teammates get brought back, and they chase super hard to come back to Vanderpool's group and the favorites group, and your whole race can change if one little thing happens different. You know, I was lucky and didn't have any
Yeah.
mechanicals or anything, but, you know, it just Roubaix, I feel like, is gonna be one of those races that every time you do it, it leaves you with that feeling of like what if, and that's what makes you want to come back and do it again, because you
Yeah.
something can always change. And you know, a breakaway didn't go this time, but maybe in another edition I get in the breakaway and have the potential to roll top 10 from the breakaway. You never know.
Yeah.
So it's just it's gonna be one of those races that I'm gonna have a star next to it when I'm planning the season.
I imagine from listening to you talk and my own experience that you realize how important positioning is, and you never really know when the positioning is important. So you just have to be in position all the time. And so now that you can, like you're telling this story, if you'd only been a few spots up, you would have been two or three groups ahead. Next time, you're gonna be telling yourself that the entire race, like, okay, I got to fight a little harder because this could really matter right here.
Yeah, 100%. So it's just I have so much to work on, and skills within the bike race to work on to be able to make those things happen in a race like Roubaix, but that's what it's all about, right? Like trying to get better to be
Yeah.
able to do things. And in fact, when looking at the result sheets, it's kind of crazy because the sport has changed so much to where as a 22-year-old rider, you don't feel young anymore because guys that are 18, 19 are doing so well and performing. But then you look at the result sheet in Roubaix, and you see that for me, there's only 10 riders above me in the result sheet that are my age or a year younger. Nobody else younger, you know? Like just basically my same age or younger than me. There's only 10 guys above me on the results sheet. That gives me so much
It's a lot
motivation
of
because
experience.
yeah, that gives me so much motivation because there's like that means that there basically I just if I continue on my trajectory, there should be no reason why I can't do better and better at this race every year.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely. And
man, it just gets me.
don't compare yourself to this other guy like Paul Seixas and like it's never gonna be helpful for you to like compare yourself to other whatever
Yeah,
wonderkins, you know? Like you do you, you just try to do better than you did previously. That's all.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
the secret right there.
yeah. Because to be honest, the numbers for Roubaix that I did weren't that crazy. You know, for the race itself, it was only like 307 or 10 watts average or whatever it was. And okay, for 5.5 hours, maybe that sounds like a lot, but for a rider of my size, you can push yourself a lot more than that. So there's like a lot of room to improve on by just positioning, you know? Um, you could really improve on your race. And also like I was pretty fresh because I hadn't ridden much the last 2 weeks, so my heart rate was pretty high. But that maybe also lended itself a favor to me and why I was able to feel like I did in the final, like not horrible, you know, because I maybe that
Yeah.
sickness was like a good thing for me. Maybe I needed to take a chill and not train so hard in between the races, you know? You never know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
And being fresh is like for your mental clarity in the race, I think is beneficial too. Like you're just way more alert.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so for like 5.5 hours, average heart rate 155. Burned through almost 7,000 calories.
I imagine that a race like Roubaix, the real marker to look at is all of those accelerations over 500 watts. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, you probably spent a lot of time at a high power output.
Yeah, from 500 watts and above, I spent 45 minutes in. Yeah. I
Yeah,
spent over
that's
45
anaerobic.
minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot, dude.
Yeah. And then from basically 440 to 500, I spent 30 minutes. And then from around the 400 watt range, 40 minutes. You know, all you're doing substantial amount of work. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's a beast of a race, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
What so I was this morning, I got up and I was drinking my coffee. I flipped on YouTube and UAE put out a behind the scenes of Roubaix.
Okay.
Man, you gotta watch it because there's a point of view on Florian Vermeersch's bike when they're reconning and they go through the Arenberg and Tade's leading. Dude, like this is a good example why people should go watch to see how good of bike riders you guys are. The way he's threading through these amateurs and these cars that are on Arnberg at the time, and he's going like 50K an hour.
Yeah.
Dude, his directors must have been shitting their pants. Like it
Yeah.
looks so dangerous. Like it's just an amazing thing just to like get a sense of how gnarly this is because when you're watching the race, it's a helicopter shot of the Armberg, and it's like, okay, they're on this cobbled road and they're all single file. Like, I guess this is supposed to be hard. But I don't think people realize like the cobbles in the Armberg are just atrocious. They're really bad. Like you need a mountain bike to ride this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. They are horrible. You go through this thing, of course, I didn't get the chance to hit it with speed in the race because there was so much car traffic in front of us. But in all the recons we did, you hit these things with speed and there are sounds coming from your front wheel that you think that your bike has exploded. Like you are convinced that you have just broken your front wheel and you are about to die, but you just have to turn that off and just go as hard and fast and as smooth as you can forward and just hold your line because there is no good line on Arenberg. It is just pick one and keep it straight the entire time if you can. And yeah, so you just think your bike breaks often on this thing. And then you get through the sector and you stop and you look at your front wheel and your back wheel and you can see all the little squirts of tire sealant that has come out. It's pretty crazy. You probably drop like point 0.1 bar or a couple PSI through Arenberg alone. Look, if you can see,
It
this blister thing right
oh,
here,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that came from recon, just solely from Arenberg. I was perfectly fine, and then we did Arenberg, and I came out, and my hand was ruined. So
Did you
it's a
double wrap your bars?
yeah, I double wrapped my bars, and then I wore some pretty thin gloves. I wasn't gonna run gloves, but I had this blister from the recon, and I needed something over it. So
Yeah,
normally I wouldn't have run it because some guys like they need to tape their knuckles and stuff because it's basically all dependent on how you hold the bars is how fucked your hands get. If you're like death gripping or like using your fingers to grip the bars, then you're gonna have issues. But I have like relatively big palms, so I'm able to just rest the bar like in the meat of my palm and keep my fingers pretty loose. So I don't get like the crazy horrible hands like other people do, but um
yeah.
yeah,
Did
maybe
did you find that riding in the center on the crown was better? Was that a piece of advice that George gave you guys about, it's tempting to go down on the sides, right? But there are more holes down there. It's actually, even though it's a little scary to ride up on that crown, it's kind of the smoothest, most consistent place to ride, right?
Yeah, I'll always ride the crown. The only thing is that it's crazy actually how much draft plays a role on the cobbles. You wouldn't think it, but how fast we're going, it's basically just like a shitty road section. And you're just and you need to be in the draft. So you're kind of at the mercy of whatever the line the guys choose in front of you to an extent. Like I found that I would always follow those guys because it made my life so much easier. And they would often ride on the sides, like where the dirt is, like that little strip of dirt. But it's a gamble, because you can't see what's in front of you. So if there's a little hole and a guy jumps over it and you hit it, boom, flat or crash.
Yeah.
And then if it ends, because there's no symmetry to these sectors, right? That dirt strip could end without you knowing, and a lot of guys in front of you will like dash over back onto the cobbles. But there's this little lip, and if you catch that lip with your front tire, boom, down. So you
So
gotta
like
be
if you're
so
that's why it's better to actually, if you have the strength, lead the section because you can force errors on other riders.
for sure. For sure. Yeah, that's 100% true. And like if you're at the front of the bike race and you have an opportunity to lead a sector and force somebody to make an error, you can do that easily. Like what
Yeah.
was actually crazy, did you see that one section, I think it was Carrefour de Labra, where it's that really fast left-hand turn and Pogacar kind of overdid it and lost the bike, and then Wout kind of like didn't make a correction, but because he thought probably Pogacar was going to crash, he like kind of kept it wide, and he went so far wide. If there were like fans there or something was there, he can crash and Pogacar can right away with it. So yeah, being first wheel no matter what, even if you make a mistake yourself, it can be beneficial
You
to you.
know, it's funny when you bring up Carrefour de Lob because when I'm watching that, those guys they're going so fast that those corners become so important. It was so hard for anyone to get an advantage over the other one because the speed is so high that like, you can't just like come past with more speed. You're at
Yeah,
terminal velocity.
yeah,
And Carrefour de Larb, like there's so many corners in it that it almost negated any opportunity for Pogacar to really try and put it to Wout, for example. Like the
yeah.
speed
And I
is just
think
you can't go much faster.
no, no, no. And I think the best guy who corners honestly is Vanderpool. And I think this is where he can put riders under a lot of pressure is when he's full gas on a sector, his bike handling skills, man, like he's basically not going to go down. And so if you cannot hold his wheel, then trying to have to reaccelerate through that corner to get back on his wheel, dude, those are the hardest efforts that you make in the race is when it slows down on a
Absolutely.
sector in a corner and then you have to reaccelerate out. It is
Yeah.
devastating.
And you do that
Yeah.
like 10 times and then you're done.
Yeah, 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 you do that t if you can do that 10 times, chapeau.
Yeah,
You got a
yeah.
couple of those in you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
um,
that as I was watching it, it seems like it's the only opportunity is if you can go through those corners a little quicker than the next guy and make him pay for it coming out, but you have to do it a few times to really gain an advantage to where you might be able to make a difference.
yeah,
Otherwise, like
and
you said, the draft is too much. There's too much draft and like it's so hard to just ride someone off your wheel. And that's going to be the challenge for him to win this race, right?
yeah, for sure. I think for Pogačar to win Roubaix, obviously, he needs good luck, but, I think having more teammates in that front group where he can really just set the pace on fire into some section and, create an explosion
Mhm.
because,
Yeah.
yeah, it's he doesn't have I mean, of course, he has the watts to drop guys on the flat, but those 3 top guys, 4 top guys are probably not going to drop off of his wheel.
And they'll beat him in a sprint.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, he got
Yeah.
rolled
So
by Van Aert.
yeah, yeah.
How cool is that to watch
Yeah.
Van Aert win?
It's pretty cool. You know, I would be happy either way for the winner. I mean, obviously, it would be amazing to see Tade win all 5 monuments in a row. Um, but you know, wow, obviously he's a fan favorite. He seems like a great guy. He's had his setbacks, and you know, the best part was watching his reaction after the race. Like then you were like, okay, this is really cool. Like the race was
Yeah.
great, but to watch the camera stay with him and you know, he lost it when he saw his family. He just you could see the emotion and it's the biggest victory of his career.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's done it 8 years now and hasn't won or something, like, he just kept knocking on the door, and kept getting back up after massive setbacks, and that's a really cool story of just persistence and grit and determination, right? Like, to see
Absolutely,
some
absolutely.
to see someone's lifelong dream, basically, or career long dream, or whatever it is for him, to come true in such a way after so much trial and tribulation. I was already emotional after like racing the race itself, but then being on like the car drive to my hotel and like looking at the videos, I was like emotional for him. I was like, God, that must be an amazing feeling, you know?
Yeah. And I remember when his teammate died. I forgot that it was during Roubaix though.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
So a lot of meaning in this victory for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
You know, I will say that Vanderpool was really impressive when when he flatted in Arnberg and he tried to take Philipson's bike and then he he abandoned that and he just was casually walking backwards, like going for a stroll in the Arnberg. You're like, "Oh, it's over. Like he's giving up. He was over 2 minutes behind. And to come within 20 seconds after like going from group to group and just doing so much work on his own, like, wow, that was crazy.
He
Like,
is an amazing writer.
never expected it. Yeah, like, never expected him mentally to get back in it and then to come that close to those 2 guys, like, that's pretty incredible.
He even said it himself in an interview after the race that he didn't even think that he thought that his race was over, and he didn't really believe that he could come back. And for him to be able to those guys are riding so hard at the front of the bike race, for him to come back essentially on his own. Yes, he had Ghana, I think, helping him kind of relay, and Ghana would take the road
Yeah, a little bit.
sections and Vanderpool would take the cobble sectors, but regardless, I mean, what an effort. Like, that should not be
Yeah.
overlooked. That's honestly the
It
effort of the
shouldn't
day.
because, I mean, he won the last 3 races. He coulda easily just been like, "Ah, screw it. I'm just gonna quit,"
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
But he's a that's a champion, you know? He's there to, like, give it his best regardless, and y there's nothing but respect for that kind of performance.
totally, totally agree. Yeah, he's a classy bike rider, and, I feel like he also knows he has that class that if you're the defending champion, you've gotta give it all to the line to try and defend that
Yeah.
title, so he did an amazing job at that, yeah.
Honor the race, honor your competition. It
Yeah,
was, yeah, really, really great to see. It takes a lot of character.
yeah, and I don't know, for me, I feel like I'll probably have a different opinion on this in the future when I'm like a seasoned pro and I need to be able to do my job every race and whatnot. But right now in my career, I feel like pulling out of a bike race and DNFing is like the last thing that I want to do. I want to try and finish every race as best as I can and fight for every position, like no matter if I'm dead fucking last or if I'm racing for the win. Like I just wanna put it all on the line and race with everything that I have. So when I see guys in a race like Roubaix, like, kind of just, like, not give a fuck and pull over to the side of the road and just hop off the bike and get in the team car, I'm like, "Bro, you gotta at least just finish the bike race or at least try." Like, that just rubs me the wrong way when guys stop, and I get it, it's like, it's a long season, if you can save yourself for the next race, blah, 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 but I don't know. Roubaix, like, the monuments are special. You gotta finish those. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, well, this is, to be fair, this is your first Roubaix. Like finishing Roubaix at any point is a big deal. Finishing your first Roubaix, like hats off to you. I mean, that's not an easy feat. I don't think many people realize how difficult it is just to finish that, especially your first year. And yeah, I agree. Like if you're, unless you're like really sick or, there's extenuating circumstances, you got to finish the bike race.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you're really sick and if there's some other reason, then for sure I get it. Like if you crash really hard and you can't continue. But yeah, speaking of which, did you see Florian Vermeersch's crash in Arenberg?
Oh,
Oh man. One of those ones that you go into Arborg and it's in the back of your mind that this type of shit can happen. You get a front flat and it like gets on the rim and then you slide off the crown and
maybe
just crash super
maybe I
hard.
did see that. Did he
Oh, and
go
he
into
hit
the
his
barriers?
yeah, he went into the right side of the barriers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he like hit his knee so hard and it just looked so painful. Uh,
So he was out of the race there?
yeah, yeah, he pulled out there. Yeah.
Did he break anything?
I don't know. I haven't seen anything. But yeah, surprisingly, there weren't I mean, I didn't see them, but there weren't so many crashes.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know
trying to think,
if you saw any on TV, but
boy, there was a bad one in the women's. I turned on the women's race and there was a bad one. You could hear the screaming. It
oh
was pretty graphic. But I'm
gosh,
trying to think of the men's race. I don't think I saw many crashes in the men's race. You're right.
no, no, there wasn't, which is nice always. But the crazy thing about the women's race,
Did you ever
go ahead.
see the oh no, go ahead.
No,
I
no,
was
go,
gonna
go.
say, did you ever see the video of when George broke was it a handlebar? I forget which year it
His
was.
steerer tube.
Steer tube. Yeah, yeah. You see
Yeah,
that?
yeah, dude.
Oh,
So,
he's
could you
like,
imagine?
all of a sudden, his like bars are in his hands, and he's like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah,
I don't know why. I just thought I was trying to think of like the quintessential Roubaix crashes over the years, and that's definitely one. That was a highlight for for a while.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
the quintessential one is always the guy crashing out in the corner on a cobblestone sector, like, doesn't realize that it's slippery. He maybe overshoots it, grabs a little front brake, and then just wipes out. That's the classic that happens. But
Yeah,
I
hits
don't
the
I don't want
ground
to know.
so hard, just
y-
slaps.
Yeah, I don't want to know what it feels like to crash on a cobble sector. It doesn't look nice. But
No. What were you gonna say
um
about the women's race?
yeah. So our teammate Riley Pickrell, he didn't finish, but he's our Canadian sprinter. His girlfriend is Franzi, the German lady who won the women's race. So we were at the end, and he
That's
was
cool.
he was watching it, and we were watching it on the phone, and he was so excited. And then he ran to the velodrome before she got there, and he got to see her win. That's a cool story. And then on top of all the emotion that I was already feeling, I got emotional again watching them on the TV, like, so excited for each other and him kissing her and everything, and that she had just won the
Yeah.
bike race, like, that's so cool.
I actually I saw that. I didn't know who that was, but I now that
Yeah,
you say that, I remember seeing that. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, so that's cool for them, I mean, winning Roubaix is crazy.
And she did an amazing race against 2 of the best ever
Yeah,
teammates, and
yeah,
she beat them. Like,
yeah.
dude, you beat Marianne Vos at Roubaix, like,
It's kind
I
of
mean,
like,
that's
it's like a flashback to when, the Sky Guy, when he destroyed those Quick Step fellas.
yeah.
Boonen,
Yeah, yeah.
Terpstra, and you remember that race? Was that
Ian
E3?
Stannard.
Yeah, Ian Stannard at E3. I think it was E3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Classic, classic
But
one.
now that I think about it, Roubaix, the 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 2 goats were 2nd, right? Arguably the best ever male rider. I mean, it's still up for
Yeah,
debate.
yeah.
Without a debate, the best ever female was 2nd. So, kind
You
of
you think you think
the
without it you think without a doubt the best female rider?
Marianne Vos, I think it's pretty well. Yeah, I don't think anyone would argue with that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
she
I don't know. I don't really know
she
how anybody can argue with
it
Pogačar either, though.
well, Merckx, and it's a little bit apples and oranges, but with Marianne Vos, like, they were saying it would have been her 259th victory had on the road,
Wow,
just on the road, and she
man.
has, she's won worlds in every discipline.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm excited to see. Did you watch the Shimano little mini documentary on Vanderpool?
Oh, I did. Yeah, that also
Yeah.
came on my YouTube.
Yep.
Mhm.
That was a
Yeah, I
pretty cool
mean,
video.
talk about the talk about the gene lottery.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he comes from a good bloodline of cyclists for sure,
Yeah.
but it'll be nice to see him maybe focus now a little bit on trying to win the mountain bike world's title, because that's the one that's eluding him, and that's the bike race that he really wants to win. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, is he going to try again this year? Is that his plan?
I don't know. I mean, the problem with mountain biking, and I think it's also the same with cross, is that you need these points to have the good start position. If you start in the last row at mountain bike world championships, you're not winning the bike race, you know? So I think you need to race a bunch of the World Cups to get points to be there at the World Championships. So I don't know when the World Cups start. I think the World Cups maybe have just started. They start in April. So
Yeah. I think they're starting in, like, I wanna say, like, South Korea? Is that right? In the end of April.
yeah, 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 yeah. You're right. I think I heard that some Asian World Cups. So
Is Pidcock the current gravel world champion?
no, Florian Vermeersch is. Yeah, I don't know. All I know is Vermeersch is world champ in gravel.
Okay.
But
I was just thinking because Pidcock could potentially win all 4, but he's missing road and gravel.
yeah, that's true. But are we officially counting gravel world
Yeah.
champion? We are officially counting this now.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, some like Marianne Vos is world champion across track as well. So,
Yeah,
like, if you're gonna count track, well, which discipline? The pursuit?
yeah. I didn't
So,
I didn't even think
I mean,
about that
obviously, I think
because
the big 3 are road, mountain, and cross, right? Like, that's kind of traditionally been the 3 crossover disciplines.
yeah, for
But,
sure.
gravel is, I mean, what is it? It's road racing, on
Basically,
dirt.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
Strada Bianchi, pretty much, or uh, Perry Tours. These races are gravel
Yeah.
races. But the problem with, I
So,
think, gravel world championships is like still seems a bit amateur. Like, is aren't you starting with like 50 Belgians? Aren't there like? Isn't it just like there's really no rules? It's just all everyone for themselves, kind of crazy style.
I mean, it sure seems that way. It's like 400 starters or something. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think the sport's still evolving. It's still kind of growing up. So, um, maybe it'll become more, I don't know, quote unquote prestigious as the time goes on. It's still finding its way. But,
Yeah.
Vanderpool dropped in and grabbed himself a world title. Like, he obviously felt like it was worth something, and he did it. So I
Yeah.
think when when someone like Matthew Vanderpool decides to do gravel worlds and wins and claims the title, that gives a lot of of value to the sport, in
Yeah,
my
it
opinion.
elevates the sport a lot for sure. No
I
doubt.
think I
I
think
think
so.
also with like Pogačar, his kind of his status, you can say, in Monaco or whatever, having these huge athletes come to these races and like promote it on their social media, like these big F1 drivers, or if a big tennis player comes or something, that's also massive for the sport. Like I don't think a lot of people realize how much that helps cycling. Like so many new fans are introduced to the sport through other
Yeah,
endorsing sportsmen.
yeah. With Carlos Sainz at the end of Milan San Remo, like, definitely it had a bigger spotlight on the race. There's no question.
Yeah, and then
That's a good point.
Ollie Bierman came to Roubaix, who's another F1 driver. It's That's big stuff. And then, dude, LeBron James. Did you see LeBron James
Hmm.
do that Instagram post for
Hmm.
Matthew Vanderpool before Roubaix? Stuff like that is crazy.
Dude, it is. It was like I saw that they like collaborated, and I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy." So I clicked on his profile, and he has like 275 million followers or something. It's like, oh my god,
Yeah, dude, it's like
that's
Cristiano
awesome.
Ronaldo. It's so cool. It's like Cristiano Ronaldo-esque, like persona, like promoting the sport. It's pretty rad. And
It's very good. Yeah,
I think he invested in Canyon or is a part owner now of Canyon or something like that. So he's
I think
getting
you're
more
right.
involved. He's getting more involved, but that's pretty cool to see, in my opinion.
Super cool. Yeah, I mean that's great for the sport. You're coming in
Super
at
good.
a good time.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, Levi, let's go. Thanks, bro.
Yeah. Me, I'm not going to complain, but there could have been some things different in my era.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah.
it
Dude,
is what it is.
I saw you guys got dumped on the last couple days, no? You got a lot of snow?
Like 40, so Palisades, the ski resort that I live very close to, reported 43 inches in 48 hours.
Whoa,
So
whoa.
yeah, I'm back on Nordic skis the last 2 days, and today I went skiing with my friend, and it was glorious. Like,
Oh
dude,
man.
the entire basin is just caked in white. The lake is
Oh,
so blue right now, the bluebird sky,
dude.
it's just immaculate.
Oh man. Dude, I'm so
Yeah.
jealous. I'm in Phoenix right now, but I'll be home in 2 or 3 days and oh, I can't wait to smell the Tahoe. Just smell it all. I'm so
Yeah.
excited to be home, dude.
Hey, what's your next race, by the way?
I don't know. It's some silly old Gran Fondo. I think it's called Levi's Gran Fondo.
Yeah, buddy. We
Yeah,
are
bro.
officially 11 days away.
Man, are you getting nervous? You getting nervous?
A little bit, yeah. I obviously I care a lot about this event, and there's a lot of details, and I want it to go well. I want everyone to be safe, and yeah, it takes a little bit out of me, probably just as much as riding it, actually.
Yeah. Takes a village to put on something like that, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, we have a village. We have a lot of great volunteers and amazing staff and amazing sponsors, so we're
Yeah.
lucky.
So what's the schedule like? You have a is there like a shakeout ride or something the day before? Let me know
Yeah.
what to expect.
Yeah, I think there's a couple shakeout rides. I I can't be a part of them, but I know that like Panormal is leading a shakeout ride on Friday from the festival. which is where everybody comes in and picks up their packets for the next day, and you can mingle around the festival. All the booths are open, music is going on, and then yeah, the big day's Saturday. So
Hell yeah.
uh, it's
So
it's all
excited.
set.
Dude, it's
Bring
gonna
your
be good.
Roubaix legs.
Has there ever been a rider come to the Growler straight off of Roubaix? So Luke and I are the first. We share the crown.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll see who takes the top step on Saturday. I'm excited. It's gonna be one hell of a ride.
yeah. Oh, it is. Well, you're going to be on Luke's home road, so keep an eye on
Yeah,
his wheel.
shoot.
It's
Shoot.
a good wheel
And
to watch,
I don't know how I'm climbing these days. We're gonna have to test out the form.
dude. I mean, you just did Roubaix. You're going to be fine. It's going to be so much more relaxed than that.
Yeah, it'll be yeah, I fucking hope so. Oh my god.
Yeah.
If it's anything like Roubaix stress level, I'm gonna be like, Levi, what the fuck did you get me into?
No, no. It definitely won't be. It definitely won't be.
Oh man, that's
Yeah,
good.
looking forward to seeing you. So I'll see you in a
Yep,
few days, and then
yep,
yeah, we'll
for
go for a
sure.
bike ride if I can keep up.
Oh yeah, you'll be able to keep up just fine. I'm doing some TT testing now, so maybe I might be on my TT bike. We'll see with a new
Oh,
position.
that's not good. That's
Yeah,
not good for me.
it'll be all right. It'll be like a little moto pace session. You'll get the good legs for the Fondo.
Okay. All right.
All right, Levi. It
Well,
was
I'm
good
looking forward
catching
to
up with
seeing
you.
you, buddy.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
as
you
well, man.
too. See
Take
you
care, bro.
soon. See ya.